أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولا تؤتوا السفهاء أموالكم التي جعل الله لكم قياما وارزقوهم فيها واكسوهم وقولوا لهم قولا معروفا. Surah An-Nisaa ayat 6.
This is chapter An-Nisaa. Surah saying that we discussed this to an extent. This is verse 6. Surah saying that we are discussing the word Safi as to who Safi is. This one of the meanings is very used in ordinary meanings, and Huzur saying that given an example from the Holy Quran, that a person who doesn't know of his own what is good for him, and in that occasion Allah has used the word Sufaha for that person, that who regards himself as being clever, and he also does cunning acts, but eventually every one of his decisions fall back on him, and it goes against his aims, and that such a person is Safi in the eyes of Allah. And the discussions picked up carried out by dictionary writers have said that is someone who is who lacks common sense, and who is ignorant and silly. They're all, this is all in this word. But one of the definitions is that a person who is not able to make a right decision with respect to his wealth, and he is not capable of taking care of wealth. The Muslim Adhan has especially chosen this translation at this occasion, and it is strange that the same and it is he has said that this is the translation that should be, because there are some people who apparently seem silly, but when it comes to wealth they are so clever that there's none else like them. So how can you deny them wealth, if their own wealth, because of other foolishness? But there are some people who are very intelligent, but they are not very good at financial matters. Huzur is saying that women have this kind of to a limited extent. This is found in women. Therefore, Allah says about financial matters that if you need to present a witness, then for one man there should be a witness. If one man is enough as a witness, then two women will be equivalently enough. And this doesn't mean so if one forgets, then the other can remind her. Huzur is saying that there are women who are very clever, and yet they are not good at taking care of their inheritances and their wealth. Their character doesn't permit them to do so. And also there are some other women who are even more intelligent when it comes to how they spend their wealth, and they are able to do trades, businesses. And such ladies is not they are not this is not a part of men or women. It depends on the customs of particular countries. For example, in Burma, often trade is done by women, business is done by women, and they're very clever in this respect. And by the grace of God, the Ahmadis who write letters to me and stuff, they are very clever in business matters, and they have got a lot of intelligence with respect to this. And also African women are very clever in terms of financial know-how, So in that case, to translate sufaha as being meaning women is very bad, is completely wrong, and this has to do with the wealth, and no one has the right to um, take this to mean as anything else. When it comes to wealth, whether it's a man or a woman who doesn't know how to spend properly, doesn't know to look after wealth properly, they're both meant. And sufaha is here the first. Initially, Safi is for a man, and the first, the plural of that is sufaha. So women are not mentioned because when men are mentioned, it includes women as well. So this has been the Quran has not kept it confined. It has made the application vast. So we're saying the others are just excuses. Other explanations are excuses to keep women away from their just rights. And in the Holy Quran, the way the word sufaha has been used, it doesn't permit this translation, and this is not this is not mentioned here with regards to wives or orphan ladies, as some commentators have said. With the usage of the Holy Quran and Arabic, this applies in a general sense in every financial matter, whether it's a man or a woman, whether they're orphans or non-orphans. They are responsibility of their nation, to the extent that they have to the extent that their rights are state rights, set rights that the state has. But if the state has not got any rights, then they are not allowed to permitted to interfere. And this is found in people have raised these questions differently, and they have also raised the question that if a person who is not clever in financial matters or doesn't have experience in these matters, then he can be his wealth can be taken away from him. Then if afterwards a person does something, can his wealth be taken away from him? So can there be interference with everyone? Can you take it back from someone after you've taken it, you've given it them their money? This argument has been taken up in reference to this verse, and then afterwards they issued the edict that give them the money but keep an eye on them, and if they do anything silly, then take their wealth back from him. So he's saying that if this was the Holy Quran's reason, then in the Holy Quran, then trade etc. could not have taken place in the world, because even good businessmen sometimes they make wrong decisions, and they waste a part of their money, whereas there are some inheritances which are well established. So does that mean that the nation, the country will, the government will take over those inheritances? So saying this can't be, it just can't be right. So one must understand this verse as to what it means. So basically this is speaking of many orphans and many people who, because of their parents' martyrdom etc., they have suddenly have had to use their inheritances, and as a result of that there are many who, because they haven't got the experience or they do not know about financial matters, and it could be that they may waste such national wealth. And to waste national wealth doesn't mean that their wealth should be lost. The wealth of the entire country are wasted, and there are wrong inclinations in business, and such lack of care also gives rise to dishonesty. So if you see that somewhere there is a simple person and you go to him and you quietly do a trade with him, and usurp money from him, and or deal something, make a deal with him, which practically means taking his money from him, and and it's only found out afterwards when the whole thing is been settled. So then there are many other chances of dishonesty, and it might ruin economic systems. And the Holy Quran and the traditions have also have in these kind of matters, it has been it has stressed, laid a great deal of stress, so that doesn't give rise to dishonesty. So such matters do occur. I was saying that I have in my mind, I have certain examples where someone worked very hard with their inheritance, and and when the children take their money, then some of them increase it, and some are who waste everything and nothing is left of it. If the family as a whole had stressed that according to the Holy Quran, you are although you are of an age where you could be given your wealth, but it doesn't mean that you should waste your money, which is a national wealth, in the sense that although your father earned the money, so but when someone gets the inheritance, then it goes back to the nation. So you should fulfill the condition of receiving the inheritance, and if you haven't got the capacity, then we will sort it out for you. In this regard, another question also arises as to warzuquhum fiha wadfuhum. What does this mean? One was the normal meaning, which is also saying that I've spoken about the day before yesterday, but it also means to feed them, clothe them, etc. So does it mean that in every such occasion you should buy clothes for them, you should bring groceries for them, or you should give them particular food, and you should say this is for you, and give them money? Is this what it meant? No, of course not at all, because this is against the aim of this verse, and that is that such a person, does he have the capacity to look after his inheritance or not? There are two separate things, and difference of which should be kept in view. One is in financial matters, to look after them in such a way like a businessman has to do, or and to look after the agriculture matters like a farmer has to do. Like, for example, they have to look after when something has to be sowed, to take care of the different needs which farmers have to do. So if someone who doesn't have the experience, then temporarily, before he takes on the responsibility, you'll have to check if that person, so you would have to train that person to an extent, and this is a separate subject. And a person like that, whatever they spend, he spends it correctly, and it's not necessarily going to that it is wrong to give it to them. So he's saying that then to regard the weakness of one area to apply to another area, why should that be done? And this is not the aim of the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran takes up real issues and gives real solutions to them, and it does not permit to create an issue, to solve an issue and create another problem. So the point is that someone who is not able to look after their wealth and their inheritance, and it is their rights that are going to suffer, and the nation's rights are secondary. So in the name of their own rights, if you imprison them by the state taking over their wealth. This is of course not the aim of the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran's aim is very clear, and there is no other no other meaning should be taken. So this is a clear matter here, that safaha here refers very clearly to wealth. And just as the Muslim has taken up this taken this meaning, and so have some commentators, that it only refers to such people who are unable to look after their wealth financially. So this is also sometimes the case when it comes to expenses. And then if this happens, then such issues become very complicated and it's very difficult to solve them. There are some people who can't look after a large part of the wealth, but they have the capacity of day-to-day spending. And there are some people who don't have any of these capacities. They can't organize their wealth, and they can't spend it properly day to day as either. And so there are people who have taken loans, who then from before they get the inheritance, they get loans, and usually the parents have to pay their loans, and if they don't, then they are got involved in problems. Such people are the biggest danger to the society, and on whom the foolishness is applies in both ways. When they are given inheritance, they immediately waste it, and many people can make use of them. Some people say to them that, wow, you are spending so well, this is so good, and this is a princely spending, and guests have come and you've completely spent everything on them. But they don't do it from business, money from business. They sell their inheritances and spend their money. So these are the kind of safis that are mentioned in the Holy Quran, that if there are such people, they cannot look after their inheritance and they don't know how to spend it, and they're very clear to you. If you keep quiet, then the nation's wealth will come to will suffer. So as we were saying, and the word court of war that I used, court of war should be appointed on such people, and their expenses should be kept in mind as well. And about them, the society can also be warned about them. And some people that these are their court of words, and if you give them any loans, then I'm not responsible. Because we were saying, once before a jalsa, I made the decision that it wasn't it was a court of word, but it's something similar. I had to make a decision, and that there are many people who come, who after they go back to Pakistan, that the local people, they have taken loans that we will go back and we'll return it, and because you were a host, you gave them the money, or you've shown some other weakness, or you have been truly sympathetic. But they are also sufaha, and you should save yourself from them as well, that you shouldn't become the friends of such people, and you might lose your own money as well. So, and I had warned that if anyone comes and asks you for a loan, it is your obligation to either ask the Jamaat and find out what their situation was, what their manners are, and then give it to them, and then it will be on your own responsibility. And in such a sense, if the Jamaat gives you the wrong information, then you can ask the Jamaat. But generally that doesn't happen. Usually the Jamaat gives people the correct information about people. If you give them, if you want to give them some money without asking me, then don't come and complain to me. I have warned you, and you are you should give it then, and you should imagine that if they eat, they take it, they'll take it. You should be prepared that they should take it, they'll take it and not return it to you. And don't write to me and say to me that such and such person came and took my money and left. And he also, such and such person is also your related to you, and we thought that such and such person is belongs to a very good family, but he's done this to us. So all of these matters come out of this verse, that it refers to all kinds of people, that no matter which family they belong to, whether they're rich or poor, all of them are meant here that you should be careful about such matters, such people, that as far as it is possible you should take care of the wealth so that it increases and doesn't reduce, and you should not finish the actual amount. So the first test of foolishness is that a person who in a daily life they are taking away the main money, who starts to sell off their inheritances, then and the spending becomes more than what he's earning, and he's a partial Safi in the sense that he is devoid of being able to organize it, but his expenses are okay, and in that regard they should not, the nation doesn't have the right to interfere with them, and then in that case to help them is a national obligation. But just to give them buy groceries for them, etc., is against such a person's sense of respect and honor. And then Allah says, وَقُولُوا لَهُمْ قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا, that at an occasion like that, people sometimes say hurtful things, and these sarcastic remarks can ruin those people's lives, that you've only come here for food and you have ruined everything, and your parents have made so much money, and you've wasted it all. Such sarcastic remarks can never be beneficial. Huzur is saying that I've never seen a man who, as a result of such sarcastic remarks, he should be sorted out. It creates revengeful feelings, and the person who is helping them, they have revengeful feelings about them, and said that look at these people who are supposed to be looking after me, and they are sarcastic, and what business it of theirs to interfere in my matters. And the other problem is that their children are destroyed. They're saying, I've seen this often, that this verse is meanings are very deep. Such families where the society treats them would treat them in the sarcastic manner, then they turn their children against the society, and then they have an anger against the society, and that's how they grow up, and they have an inferiority complex. So therefore you have to be very careful, and this last section of this verse is very important. وَقُولُوا لَهُمْ قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا, they say to them a good word, so that they are foolish, and that is why you have been given the right to look after it, but you have not been given the right to be sarcastic. When you speak to them, then you should speak to them in a good way. You should speak to them appropriately, and appropriate things also include that you should train them, and you should teach them the right thing, how good things should be said. So you should teach them what is the proper way of doing things, and you should try to train them in this sense. So this is the general object of this verse, and the thing that I've explained it to you, and all other books of tradition, of dictionaries, etc., the explanations that they have made of safahat is the same that I have explained before you. Some of them say that to put someone on the wrong path, safaha wa safiha, and some say that it also means to destroy someone. So with respect to wealth, to let someone, to if someone walks on the wrong path or would destroy their wealth, that nothing remains of them, these are all sufaha. Then giving deceiving someone is also safaha. Safi is a silly person, and those reading some Arabic, so a person who spends his wealth in the wrong way. So these separations should be are important to be done. That there is one of the aspects is to um, um, sort of an organized wealth is one thing. Sorry, looking after the wealth in an organized fashion is something else, but the daily spending is a different thing. The word qiyaman that is used here, as I was saying, I've told you about this before as well, is to stand for something in favor of it, stand for something, and or to be steadfast. So they're saying that the word for your own self to show steadfastness is istiqama, but if someone adopts a firm stance, then it's called qaima, and the one who adopts a firm stance in front of about other people as well, and which is correct, then a correct stance, then that is also khama. And it also, one of the meanings is justice. So this is a born out of fair-mindedness. So a qaim is a person who can be fair-minded and just. So you have been made qaim. That means that you have to deal in honesty and uprightness. So you cannot let the wealth you cannot give them to a community which is devoid of justice. So if there is any court of ward which are either they're outsiders or the family, within the family, then the condition of justice and fair-mindedness should be kept in view. Uqsuhum is saying that I've translated this before as well. It doesn't just mean give them clothes or clothe them. Al-Kiswa says beautiful clothes, which covers the body, but in a beautiful way, and it creates a brightening or a beauty when the earth shows spring, signs of spring, and it becomes green. Then the same word is used for it as well. So I think the other things I've already mentioned previously. Tafsir ibn Kasir has said, and also there has said something, and then there is also something said by Abu Musa, that a person whose wife is rude, and he doesn't divorce her, then he's sufaha, and he hasn't kept he hasn't kept a witness when he took a loan or gave a loan, then his prayers will not be fulfilled. Huzur is saying that I'm not saying that their prayers aren't fulfilled. Some commentators have gone so far to such an extreme in the explanation of sufaha. So they're saying that who is the addressed here? According to some people, just like Imam Razi, awliya are being addressed, which means that there is a guardian of every home, and then there is awliya of the whole family. There is someone who takes care, and sometimes it's the whole nation which is a guardian. And so Imam Razi thinks that this is awliya who are mentioned here as his guardians are addressed here. And Tafsir Qasmi has said the same thing. The Prophet Islam's statement on this issue, saying that the things that I have presented before you, it is by the grace of God that exactly the same matters have been are in the following quotation of the Prophet Islam, where collectively the whole he mentions all the things that are in this and of this verse, and the commentary is not, there's not possible to have a better one could not have a better policy. He says that if there is a wealthy person who is not of full intelligence, and he's orphan, for example, and if there might be a danger that he may waste his wealth, then you should, as a court of ward, this is a word the Prophet ﷺ has used, you can as a guardian, you can take his wealth and that wealth which you shouldn't give it to such foolish people, and you should give them their food to wear, enough money, for food and to wear, so not that you should buy things for them, but you should give them money enough for them to feed them and to clothe them, and you should say to them a good word, that is, say to them which increases their intelligence and their discernment, and in this way they'll be trained, and they should not remain ignorant and foolish. And if they are sons of businessmen, then you should teach them businesses, and if they have any profession, then you should make them mature according to that. So you should continue to educate them, and you should also examine them. Huzur is saying that, like when you put someone in a school, then there are exams every year, and there are mocks as well. So these education has to do with exams as well. So the Prophet ﷺ says that you should take examinations and find out how well their training is taking place. Whatever you have taught them, have they understood it or not? And when they are able to do their nikah, that is, if they are around 18 years of age, and you see that they have the intelligence to look after their wealth, then let them look after their wealth. We were saying this point, which we were saying that I hadn't mentioned before. The Prophet ﷺ is not saying that when they reach adulthood, then take an examine them and analyze them and find out whether they can be given their wealth or not. It means that these people who are in your care since childhood and until they reach the age of adulthood, it is your responsibility that you have to continue to train them. And in this time, you should also take their exams, so that when they become adults, then you can help them, and by that time you would have prepared them, and then you can easily give them their wealth. And until that happens, that is yours, the wealth is yours. That means that you are the trustees. When they reach this situation that they are able to look after their wealth, then you should give them back their wealth, and do not spend their money excessively, and you shouldn't spend it quickly, that when they grow up, they'll take their money from you back, and don't damage their wealth. the person who is wealth, he should not spend anything, uh, uh, but a person who is poor, he can use some of it. In the Arab countries, what they used to do is that if the people who are looking after the guardians of the orphans' money, if they wanted to take some of that, they would take some of it, and they would not. So they would only take as much money from it as was used, as it was coming in from business. And so that when you return the orphans their money, then you should do that in front of witnesses, and you will also be free of the responsibility then. So in this verse, Huzur saying that وَارْزُقُوهُمْ فِيهَا وَقُولُوا لَهُمْ قَوْلًا مَعْرُوفًا, all of the matters that are mentioned here. And the definition of Safi is that adopted is by the Prophet ﷺ is a person who is doesn't have the capacity to look after their wealth. In this quotation of the Prophet ﷺ, all the aspects of this verse are collectively addressed by the grace of God. Although saying, now let us see what Mr. Very is saying about this. Very is writing that those of weak understanding, he doesn't say of in what respect of weak understanding. He says that is to say idiots or persons of weak intellects whose property is to be administered to provide for their necessities. Who are saying this is correct? That you should administer their property for the sake of their needs. Their treatment must be kindly. So he's also saying that you should treat them with sympathy. But the result he's deriving is that here is the Muslim. He says that here is the Muslim lunatic asylum. So if a person has such a terrible lunatic asylum, then they're saying that in the lunatic asylum there is mercy and there is justice and there is best of guidance, and all the needs are going to be fulfilled. So they're saying that he has said this in order to take out the rancor in his heart. But the fact of the matter is that if this is a lunatic asylum, then the whole country should be included in that. The whole country should become a part of such a lunatic asylum, because apart from that there is no peace, because the definition he's giving is correct and the name he's giving it is a lunatic asylum in order to take out the rancor in his heart. And if this wasn't the case, and if you don't accept the Islamic lunatic asylum, then what would happen would be the situation that is in America at the moment. There are books written in America which are such as Mind Control, and it speaks of how now the Americans are on the edge of being in a state where the whole of America is a lunatic asylum, and the drugs have created such a terrible situation that a lot of people have become so mad that they're incapable of living free lives or spending their money wisely. And because this exactly applies to him, then this is why I'm mentioning it. Huzur is saying that Allah does not leave such people. He shows them their results of what they're saying. About this situation of America, one commentator says something, who's saying that he says that this has been said that there is a drug mafia and different pharmaceutical companies, they make drugs, and then they, in order to kill the um, they invent new things, and they in order to get peace, enforced peace, but at what cost? The cost is that the mental capacities are reducing, and such a person who and such medicines which are given to him as a uh, they are given those medicines as a drug, and they practically become addicted to them, like they get addicted to other drugs, and then eventually when their problems increase because the drugs, after a while, they stop doing their giving their effect. It becomes a habit, and then when it becomes a habit, then you have to increase the dose, and then keep on increasing it, so much so that these are all those drugs which definitely ruins the mental capacities, and then while they're alive, their inheritance are usurped from them. And in this regard, another huge and horrific criminal system has been started in America, which is that such people they then plan to make their relatives who are rich, and they take them to courts. Sorry, they take them to doctors, etc., and make sure that they have some medicines, and then when they then they make them court of wards, and the situation is so bad that the lunatic they asylums they are also filled, and apart from that, lunatic houses are also filled, and the houses of poor old people are also filled, and now there is no. And then after that, he is given reference of many trials. It's a very deep and detailed investigation. It gives all the details of all. So a person is, although he's rich, but he has to live in lunatic asylums because of his dependency on drugs, etc. So saying, when he said this about lunatic asylum, about Islam, whatever name he gives it, this is the place of peace, where man can get peace, and this is where the people's wealth is kept hidden. Kept protected. So if this indeed is a lunatic asylum, then the whole world should adopt this method. Let us see what Montgomery Watt is saying. He just says that it only refers to girl orphans, and he has a special way of speaking. Is what he's saying. He says something which he says something small, but it has a huge effect. Apparently he sees something very innocent, but those people who are sensitive, they know what he's trying to say. That is, test well the orphans. Also saying that there is no mention here of test well the orphans in this verse. He was saying that perhaps this is the wrong place. So he was saying that I'm doubtful that afterwards where he says Waqtul al-Yatama, maybe he might be referring to that, and there might be a problem with the numbering, because he was saying that the number that we have given is with Bismillah, so maybe he has written number 6, and he may have written it for the next verse. So this is not an appropriate commentary here. But the next matter, in any case, is already saying that, because I've started it, so I'll tell you what he has. The cunning thing he has done is, as we were saying, he's saying test well the orphans, but the next verse is Waqtul Yatama. He says that this is girl orphans. This is lies. It is correct that the orphans, you should keep an eye on them and you should test them, but girl orphans, to translate it to this, no one has a right to do so. The word for orphans is general, and the next thing he has said is very horrific. This is girl orphans both as regards to acting responsibly and in respect of physical maturity. So he's saying that the adulthood, how could you check if a girl orphan is an adult? A society which is filthy, who doesn't know the higher moral values of Islam, they will be, imagine what they will be thinking, that how should they be examined. There wasn't any doctors or lady doctors, so for no reason a verse, first he translates it wrong and then he creates a confusion, and then such people in whose minds are filthy, they are given they're given an excuse so that their minds will be transferred to somewhere else, and this would not have happened if he had not created this initially. He's sort of saying that I'm saying that he's purposely done this. If he hadn't said girl orphans, then the physical maturity would have been general and people would not have thought of anything filthy. But after saying girl orphans, the next sentence he says is then that is he's trying to instigate something, trying to give birth to some filthy thought in people's minds.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وابتلوا اليتامى حتى إذا بلغوا النكاح فإن آنستم منهم رشدا فادفعوا إليهم أموالهم ولا تأكلوها إسرافا وبدارا أن يكبروا ومن كان غنيا فليستعفف ومن كان فقيرا فليأكل بالمعروف فإذا دفعتم إليهم أموالهم فأشهدوا عليهم وكفى بالله حسيبا. Surah An-Nisaa ayat 7.
This is verse 7 of Surah chapter 4. And test the appropriateness of orphans until they attain the age of marriage, in which they can be married. فَإِنْ آنَسْتُم مِّنْهُمْ رُشْدًا, and then when you find in them sound judgment, deliver to them their property. In the first verse it says that وَلَا تُؤْتُوا السُّفَهَاءَ أَمْوَالَكُمُ الَّتِي جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ, that because that has been given a very vast meaning. Therefore here sufaha was a general meaning, was a general discussion, and this has not been tied with yatama, but with the orphans. That is this is for the ordinary society, and it says that the nation is responsible and they should keep an eye on this. And because this meaning is also included in here, that the poor people are also a part of the wealth, the national wealth. So their responsibility is your obligation, and you should give them something of their national wealth, so that they have a minimum standard of living. So so that they can get by. So Huzur is saying that this doesn't. The first verse before this was not a particular situation, but here now the Holy Quran is returning to this to this particular case of orphans. And although this applies to it to an extent, but now specifically the orphans are being discussed. وَابْتُلُوا الْيَتَامَى حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغُوا النِّكَاحَ. And from this, one thing has become very clear, that the Prophet ﷺ, when he says that that is not doesn't refer to the time before after adulthood. They should be taught before adulthood, so that by the time they get an adult, you should have made every attempt, as a result of which they are able to take care of their own wealth. And in such a situation, then you should be, without any problem, you should return them their wealth. وَلَا تَأْكُلُوهَا إِسْرَافًا وَبِدَارًا. And anastum means that when you find, if you feel in them sound judgment, so don't do economic tests, etc. If a child, you can recognize him, his style, his and the money that is given to him, how he uses it, all of these things are very clear, and there's no need for any deep search. As far as technical matters are concerned, whether they have to do with business or trade, etc., they have been mentioned before, that before adulthood they should be made cognizant of these financial matters. But as far as that maturity is concerned, which decides as to what I should do, what should I decide, and which decides between good, right and wrong, that is rushd. So make certain that they have the capacity of knowing right from wrong, and then there is no need to go into great detail. Then you give them their money back, and these people's wealth, their poor people's wealth, before their adulthood, don't eat it quickly, because you may so because of the fear that they may grow up and then you'll have to give them an account. And as we're saying, that the word bidaran has a very good scenario of this has been presented. So, who's reading some Arabic? That we were saying that if there is an eagle sitting on top of a mountain, and in the middle where there are valleys as well, and there is a field, a clear field, and then suddenly he sees suddenly in that field he sees a hare or a rabbit, and he attacks it so fast that before it reaches the edges, he can snatch it. So don't do this, that before they reach that protected area, that they'll escape you, and you quickly leap at their wealth. This is not why you have been given this wealth. The purpose is something else. The purpose is to protect it and to show favor to them. وَمَنْ كَانَ غَنِيًّا فَلْيَسْتَعْفِفْ, and devour it not in extravagance and haste against their growing up. And whoso is rich, let him abstain, and whoso is poor, let him eat thereof with equity. فَلْيَسْتَعْفِفْ, that he should keep away, he should abstain from the orphan's money. وَمَنْ كَانَ فَقِيرًا فَلْيَأْكُلْ فَإِذَا دَفَعْتُمْ went to ahead in the verse, but now he's gone back. وَمَنْ كَانَ فَقِيرًا فَلْيَأْكُلْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, and whoso is poor, who has nothing, then he has the permission to eat thereof with equity. The Prophet ﷺ has mentioned in that quotation that I mentioned previously, he has kept the subject of this verse in view as well. Maruf, he says, means that which was prevalent in Arabia at the time. So anything which appears good and beneficial, and also means good customs. So the Prophet ﷺ said the bil maruf means that just as the Arabs have a custom that they do not touch the actual money of the principal sum of the money, and the guardian should not touch that money, and they should try to increase it. And he says that bil maruf means this. So this is a good custom, and it should be in Islam as well, and it is in Islam, sorry. And when the principal sum is kept safe, and if for trade you can spend some which is it is going to be beneficial for you and for them. فَإِذَا دَفَعْتُمْ إِلَيْهِمْ أَمْوَالَهُم. And but the real purpose is not that you should again benefit from it. The purpose is that you should return, you're waiting to return it to them, so that wealth is being called amwalakum. And when it refers to giving it to them, then it says that it's their wealth. فَإِذَا دَفَعْتُمْ إِلَيْهِمْ أَمْوَالَهُم. That means that there's a very fine, exquisite matter that's been raised here in these phrases, that when you are guardian of over wealth, it should be such as if the wealth belongs to you, so you should care for it as if it's yours, just as you will not spend your own wealth in the wrong way, and you would not spend it you don't give it in loans and in business, etc. Then and when you think of and when you sorry, you will be out, you will be away from Allah's protection if you do that. So you must not keep any of it yourself. You must make sure that you return their rights to them completely. And this is what a beautiful word subject that comes out of this this verse, وَدَفَعْتُمْ إِلَيْهِمْ أَمْوَالَهُمْ. And because it was their wealth, then you must, and you're giving it to them, then call witnesses in their presence. And when you deliver to them their property, then call witnesses in their presence. It doesn't mean that you can't, that while you looked after it for them, and then when you're turning to them, there'll be witnesses, because the witness will also then ask as to what happened with the wealth. So there be such responsible people who will make sure that everything is accounted for. And when they say yes, and this the right has been given back to the people who it belonged to, then that would be fine. وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ حَسِيبًا. And this is the subject which has been made very clear, that the people who are the witnesses, they are going to give account to Allah as well. وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ حَسِيبًا. And Allah is sufficient as a reckoner. That means that those, if you deceive those witnesses, you will not be able to escape from Allah's witness, and Allah will know whether you gave them each and every penny or not. The discussions of dictionary that has been mentioned here, one of the words is nikah barata, and this is the general meaning is wedding, and the word nikah is used in one way, in a way, in our societies, that is to tie someone in a bond of marriage. That if an imam is standing there and he declares and that somebody is going to get married, then that is the nikah. And the real wedding is at the time of when the girl leaves to go to the man. In the Arabs, nakaha means tazawwuj. It's not the actual declaration. It means to bring someone to their home as a wife, and then living with them as a wife. And then another meaning of nakaha it doesn't necessarily mean have a relationship with a woman is also referred to as nakaha in Arabic, in a phrase. And from this regard, the basic meaning about that is being indicated towards. Nakaha's main meaning is is consummation, that is the consummate, so that they become one, and then it's difficult to distinguish between the two. So this is what nakaha means. When the Arabs say, who's reading some Arabic, that it's like the rain falls into the earth and then becomes one with it. So this water is it doesn't mean the water gathering together. It means when the earth becomes soaked with the water, it gets mixed with the water and it gets absorbed, then water and the soil becomes one. That is meant by nikah. So nikah is for the purposes of two people becoming one, and so that then there is no difference between them, and this unification is what gives rise to the world flourishing. When there is enough sufficient water, and then only then greenery comes out. And when there is less water or too much water, then it doesn't work. So there should be a oneness, and then there is flourishing, and so fruits are born out of that, flowers are born out of that, etc. Huzur is saying that, so it refers to children. So rushdan, Huzur is saying, it means that somebody has gained guidance, and arsalahu, he has got guidance. Rashad al-Qazi as-Sabiya qaza rashudu, that the Qazi has decided that such a child has reached the age of rushd. Ar-rushdu salihan fi dini muslihan bimalihi, I think Huzur said. One of the meanings of rushd is that somebody is good in the religious sense, and he is good in terms of he can look after wealth properly as well. In the jurisprudence terminology, it means that when a child reaches an age when he's called mukallaf, which means that he becomes responsible for his matters, and if he does something wrong, then he will get punished for it, and his age cannot be a hindrance in his punishment. So when he reaches that age, then it means rushd, that means when he can be punished. In this regard, Huzur is saying that the word that is known in our society, murshad, is actually the Arabic word murshad. And the Arabs, because they say murshid, but Jami'ul Lughat very clearly sheds light on this, and it says that actually the word is murshad, but in Urdu, the one that you follow, for them the word murshid is used, and that is the correct pronunciation. So murshid, where it's derived from, is that in Arabic language is murshid, you don't say murshid. So in the same way in Punjabi, you say that there are some songs, etc., all of them say murshid. So if anyone says murshid, then I was saying that because some people have a knowledge of Arabic, they keep criticizing people. Using such a person is called a pedantic, who keeps rubbing his grammar into people. He never gives anyone any chance. Huzur saying because, and pronunciations are a system, a running system, and they keep changing. So there is no language in which a pronunciation stays the same except for some certain basic pronunciations. Some have become well established and firm, and are not going. They won't change, but they are most of them. Most of the ones that are used less, they keep changing. And as I was saying, I've mentioned this. As I was saying that I have to teach you some intelligence while we're talking of people who have the lack of intelligence. Huzur is saying that this intelligence has to do with day-to-day matters, not just for with religion. Rashada Rashadun Rushtun, to be walking on the right path. Rashadun, it means somebody who walked on a right path. Rashada Rashadun Rushtun. So the main thing is the same, which is known in general. A person who is fine, okay, and then to allege that he's foolish and take over his money. This is not right. What is what is israf? The word israf means, so reading the Arabic definition, sarafat is surfatu, refers ashajarata. Surfa is a silkworm. The silkworm is eats the trees, leaves of certain trees, and it leaves nothing of it. This is called sarifa. So israf has been taken out of this, derived from this word, that to spend money in such a way that to leave nothing of it, eat all of it. Therefore it says sarifa ta'amu, which means that as if the a silkworm has cleaned it up. So if food is completely eaten, then it's also called sarifa. To be lethargic about something is also called sarifa, and also it means that somebody did not pay attention to something, and as a result of that there was a mistake was made. Is also in astrafa, it is also used as to denote foolishness or ignorance. So ignorance and mistake, and to eat something quickly, to finish something very quickly, is all of these, to devour something rather, is to do israf. And generally the ordinary meaning is to exceed all bounds.
आजमाइश करने का जहाँ तक ताल्लुक है वब्तुल यतामा, इसमें कहते हैं
As far as the to try the orphans is concerned, there is a difference of opinion with regards to this. Some people say that you keep an eye on their goodness, and he sees that if he reaches the age of nikah, then give him back his wealth. Huzur is saying this is a very dangerous thing in this regard to do. And often a poor orphan is usually in such, because of psychological pressure, which they, and sometimes the other mothers her home environment is such that they have complexes, and this is why the Holy Prophet ﷺ has said to be very careful with regards to orphans. Sometimes they also become of evil character. So first, people don't care about their self-respect, and then afterwards you say that their morals are not good, and this is why we won't give them back their wealth. This is completely not what it means. This means ordinary intelligence, and if someone has the tendency of wasting money, then you have no right. If this is not the case, then you don't have the right to you have not the right to keep their wealth and not give it back to them. Those who are saying, what's adulthood? That's the other question. As far as this matter is concerned of bulugh, some commentators say that bulugh means adulthood, but the rushd is the condition is so clear that if an orphan, Sayyid bin Jubair writes, and Sabi has also written this, that if a orphan becomes old and he doesn't have any intelligence, then even if he's 100 years old, you shouldn't give him his wealth. So we're saying it's a strange things. There's nothing to do with the orphans of this type of orphans. So we're saying that if you take it to the age of 100 years or whatever, this is such a strange thing to say. Khalifa Masih Awwal Zanho has said that if he reaches adulthood, then and they have intelligence and know-how, then give them their wealth back. Muslim Zanho has spoken on this in detail. He said that often Orientalists object that the word bulugh has been used, but there is no definition of this word. The Muslim Zanho says that bulugh means to reach a mature age, in the sense of an age when somebody is capable of marrying is different. This age is different in different places. So this is a wrong objection of the Orientalists, that the Quran, if the Quran specifies an age or something, and then that if it's only it can't be specific to a particular place. In for example, in some areas, even 10-year-old girls become adults, and they can even become pregnant. So the internal system that Allah has granted people, it doesn't go by a clock. There are many things which affect it. Sometimes in some places the climate affects it, and in some places internally there are some diseases which influence it, and some girls in a young age, they show signs of adulthood, and the doctors then give them medicine and stop them, that they should become adults when they reach a normal age. So there are many different reasons for adulthood, and many environmental effects that influence it. So the Holy Quran mentions the word adulthood and doesn't specify what age it is. So saying that in any case, it changes. Adulthood change. For example, here in the UK as well, they keep changing ages. For example, about some crimes, it says that if they are done in this and this age, then it's a crime. But and the people who defend such crimes, they are now saying that you should reduce the age limit. That is that the adulthood adulthood is in the hand of man when they want to regard someone as an adult. But who saying this is very dangerous, that in this country and in America and Canada especially, there is people are in favor of homosexuals, and law is, they're trying to find a law for them, and also laws are trying to favor them, and scientifically as well they say that it's not their fault, it's the genes fault. And so much so they're saying that in some cases the army is being forced to change their rules. And for example, in the American army, because this illness has increased so much, there's a large part of the society who are it's increased so much, and there's so many dangers, and this can result in faithfulness to the country. And there are many big cases of espionage in the world where this weakness has also been used in the Russian Russian espionage organization KGB was very influential at some point, and they made good use of this. And some such people who knew such big secrets, they were caught by these illnesses, and they said, if you don't do what we say, then we shall reveal this. And such incidents occurred that some ambassadors, etc., just as there was an ambassador of France who he preferred to commit suicide, and rather than sell his the secrets of his state. So these are the weaknesses, and they're being favored, and they also influence the age of adulthood. And because man thinks it's up to them, they didn't think it was a medical issue. They should have given this over to the doctors, not to establish ages, but to anyone who is doubtful of character about them. The medical opinion should be taken. That is he an adult through a medical point of view or not? And the Quran leaves the door open for this, but because these people are trying to make their own derivation, so that it's becoming difficult for them. For example, I gave you the example that if a person is a homosexual, and if he does this to children, small children, then this is their punishment. And if it is adults, then they are free to do as they please. And now they have seen that many people, they are more inclined towards those who are adults. So now bills are being presented in Parliament that this age is too high. It should be reduced to 16, and from 16 it should be reduced to 12, because a child of 12 understands well if he's caught by someone. So the person who's committing the crime should not be regarded as the criminal. So the blame is put on the child. So it is saying that whose fault is it? Is it your fault or the Quran's fault? The Quran has used the word adulthood, which is clear, really understood for anyone. When a person is capable of producing a baby, possibly, then for such a person the word adulthood is a medical term, and it becomes clear sometimes. And in girls the indications are seen very clearly, in men as well, in boys as well. Some of the boys' voices break. They're saying in our Urdu class, some children's voices have broken and they speak in funny voices, and we're saying that's the indication that now you are able to, you're at the age where you can discern between right and wrong, and this is the real definition of adulthood. The rest is all just discussions and temporary and imaginary stories that are not relevant. So they were saying I should also now look at these people's comments. This gentleman who was saying has given this a strange translation. Sale has. So women ought to have a part of what their parents and kindred leave. This is a translation of Atul Yatama. First of all, he has again mentioned it, taken it to mean women. It appears that they take one translation and they keep spreading it. So it may even have begun with sale. Women also ought to have a part of what their parents and kindred leave, that you should also give it to them. It's nothing to do with this. He has taken up something which is not related to this. And as far as Montgomery Watt is concerned, he says that it means girl orphans. As I was saying, I've already spoken about this. And let the rich guardian not even touch it. This is a very good translation. As I was saying, it's Rodwell's translation. The Quran translated from the Arabic. As I was saying, this is a just translation. And let the rich guardians not even touch it. The word asafa, I think, said this means to keep away from it completely. Don't even touch it. They don't even go near their wealth. This is a very good translation. Let him who is poor use it for his support, eat of it with discretion. And whoso is rich, let him abstain, and whoso is poor, let him eat thereof with equity. It's a good translation that Rodwell has done. Let's see what Richard Bell says. They were saying the Farshidu alayhim, these words. The word is Farshidu alayhim. The translation of this is that don't let them have anything against you. This is what it means. It's not an ordinary witness. That when you call a witness, it means that you should have witnesses so that in the future they can never complain about you, that you have taken away any of their rights. And this is what alayhim means, that not against their it's not against their not against them, it's in favor of them, so that you can never be blamed. And instead of that, he is saying call witness against them. So he's saying that where on earth does this come from? Call witness against them means that they are being regarded as being the criminals. So but what it means is that try to save yourself from any of their possible legitimate complaints. Guard yourself against them. Bell, according to his old custom, he's just trying to they're disputing this verse. He's carving this verse up and saying this should be here and that should be there. This part should be with this verse, etc. So they're asking if there's time. There's only 1 minute left. We were saying there are a few things which are from before. Plus, I was already saying that I said that Kunu Kiratatan Khasi'in. I think that there is a meaning of AIDS in the khasi might be used for that. And I had said to the writers of dictionaries, etc., that they should investigate this issue and see what the real meaning is. Therefore, one of the meanings of khasiyan is that which we see in the meaning in the chapter Surah Al-Mulk in the Holy Quran. ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير, that your sight will return to you tired. And the other meaning, which has a very deep relation with this subject, which is khasal qalbu wa ghayruhu, that the dog went away and was humiliated, and for some the word extra is used, just as the Holy Quran has used it here. It means that don't even come close to me, and don't have any relationship with me, and keep away from me. The same is what is done to the people of who have AIDS. And because the disease has come from monkeys, so this also had these words have a prophecy, that you don't despise every kind of monkey. Some people even keep them as pets, but those become those monkeys who people cast away and tell them not to come near them, let them be separate from them. Your breath should be away from us, your dishes should be away from, utensils should be away from ours. And exactly the same meaning of fasa is given in the dictionary. So it will say, just as I thought, that was has been proven to be true, that when it says kunu qiradatan khasi'in, so it doesn't mean to be any monkey. It means become those monkeys which have such diseases that them meeting anyone, they should be, and you would say to them, touch me not, keep away. Just as it says about the Samari, that he would say, don't come near me, in the Holy Quran, in the time of Moses. Because we were saying the other matter was that because the addressed is to the women, to the fathers, so just to make it translated to mean men is wrong. We were saying that if there's nothing else, then the time's finished as well. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.